Why do dogs bark at one person and not another? If you share your life with a dog, you will notice that they have some particular personality traits or characteristics. Some of them may be typical to their breed, others may be completely distinctive. Having a dog as a pet can be a fun and rewarding experience, but there are certain behaviors your dog might possess that you have no idea what it means. Have you noticed that your dog barks at one person and not another? While it can sometimes cause embarrassment when you are around specific people, it can be helpful to understand what's causing your dog to behave like this with certain people, as you may be able to get it to stop. Dogs are always alert, especially when it comes to meeting new people. With their incredible sense of smell, it's impossible to know just how they perceive the world around them and what additional information they get from people. You may have noticed that your dog is quick to spot new people and will bark and growl at them. While this barking can indicate defensiveness, anxiety, aggression, or even just excitement, it may not be consistent with everyone they meet. So why does your dog have different reactions to people? There are many different reasons why it might be doing it, but there are some things you can consider when figuring out the main reason. There are also a number of things you can do about it that will depend on the most likely cause. Why do dogs bark? To understand why your dog barks at some strangers but not others, we need to understand why dogs bark in the first place. While not employed as much, these vocalizations are a very important part of how these animals interact with their environment. In their day-to-day lives, dogs bark to communicate different emotions and experiences. These emotions and responses to experiences will differ according to the various stimuli and occurrences in their environment. To best identify the meaning behind each bark, we must pay attention to the dog's posture, facial expression, and movements. For example, when a dog is stressed, they will show other signs of stress other than barking. These may include nervousness, excessive salivation, excessive panting, hiding, adopting a defensive stance, and many others. There are several reasons why your dogs only bark at certain people. So let's see what these are. If you got here, it means that you are interested in this video. That's why I will ask you to subscribe to the channel and press the like button if you like the video. Thank you. The first reason dogs bark at some people is because your dog doesn't like the person's smell. A dog has a very keen sense of smell, so it would make sense that the person's smell could be off-putting to the dog. When a dog first interacts with someone or another dog, the first move they make is to sniff. If the smell is acceptable to the dog, then the interaction goes well. You might notice this at a dog park, where a dog will first go up to another and smell them before deciding to play with them. On the other hand, if the dog doesn't like the smell, then the situation becomes more tense. The smell could be intimidating to them or just awful, and the dog will not want to interact with that person and might even bark at them. Pheromones that the person is giving off could be alerting the dog of a threat as well. When someone has a dog of their own, your dog might bark at them due to the other dog's smells. Beyond that, dogs also have an aversion to certain smells, such as rubbing alcohol, vinegar, citrus, and even mothballs. The second reason why your dog barks only at a certain person may be that some people just look shady. Some people look frightening to certain dogs. Dogs depend on their vision less than their sense of smell, but still to a significant degree. Dogs use facial recognition to communicate with each other, and human beings may not see facial features in the same way as dogs. When your dog growls at one person and not another, it might be that he sees a feature that is reminiscent of a threat to him in his memory. People also differ in size, features, and the way they move. Certain people's features or movement style may remind your dog of a threat or even seem unfamiliar to your dog, so he feels afraid and insecure. We know that even familiar humans can seem threatening to dogs if they move suddenly or wear a hat. Another reason could be that the person is behaving strangely towards you, or at least that's what your dog sees. When someone is behaving oddly around the owner, the dog will pick up on this and oftentimes decide to not have anything to do with that person. A dog will pay attention to many details, such as tone of voice, body language, and interactions with the owner. If the person is seemingly angry or aggressive towards the owner, The dog in turn will begin to bark at that person or simply avoid interacting with them. The person could also just be ignoring the owner or keeping distance, and the dog will pick up on these cues and avoid them. Dogs can bark at some people because they see people's true nature. Just like we as people judge others, dogs are known to behave in the same way. Dogs are often good judges of character, and several studies have shown dogs can actually determine whether a person is trustworthy or not. Dogs are constantly monitoring social interactions and are wary of how other people treat their owners. They're more likely to show distrust and bark if they see people being unhelpful. They can even pick up the general attitude their owner has towards someone. Furthermore, dogs can indeed smell fear, along with stress, excitement, and anxiety, through our hormones released in our body odor. Sensing these extreme emotions can make your dog feel uneasy, and the end result is often barking. There's another reason why your dogs bark at certain people. They are jealous. While we may think it a human-only personality trait, a study from 2014 asserts that canines can also experience jealousy. The study entailed recording responses when their owners gave attention to what appeared to be other dogs. They found that the dog displayed certain behaviors to suggest the presence of jealousy. The claim is that jealousy may be a primordial behavioral trait, although it is likely to have been exacerbated by dogs' history of domestication with humanity. When a person or stranger is seen to speak to their owner, a dog may bark as a display of the intention being taken away from them. Another important circumstance in which a dog may seem jealous is when a new family member is introduced to their living situation. And of course, one last reason why dogs bark only at certain people is that they defend their territory. Dogs are territorial animals and can be very protective of their home and family. Objects which the dog considers to be theirs may also need protected in their minds. The presence of people, dogs, or any unknown animal in their home may lead the dog to feel like their territory is being invaded. They will feel a natural impetus to preserve them and protect against threat. The protection of resources is also a natural behavior in dogs which stems from their wild ancestry. When a stranger enters their home or even moves next to something they cherish, the dog may bark in retaliation of perceived threat. Such responses can result in aggressive attitudes which may be dangerous to themselves or others. How can you avoid such situations? To prevent the big chunk of these troubles later in a dog's life, you have to properly socialize it as a puppy. Try to introduce it to as many new smells, noises, and people as possible, so as an adult, nothing will come as a surprise to them. Exposed to different experiences, the pup will grow up more flexible and mentally stable. If the dog already has a problem with people, teach it to not feel defensive or protective of everything around it. Train it with key commands to sit or calm down when someone new is around, repeating the process until your dog knows what to do without really thinking about it. Don't forget to keep a handful of its favorite treats close as a reward for good behavior. If you got here, I want to thank you. It means you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe and stay close until next time. Sometimes our four-legged friends need us.